In the Kitchen with Chef Paul is brought to you by Goodwin and Goodwin LLP. When you need an attorney, make it a good one. And by David W. Ranson, MD, General and Vascular Surgeon.
Well, happy holidays, everyone, and welcome to In the Kitchen with Chef Paul. I'm your host, Mark Curtis. The man to my left really needs no introduction. The James Beard award-winning chef from 1010 Bridge here in Charleston, West Virginia, Chef Paul Smith. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me. This is fantastic.
Happy holidays, and this is Merry Christmas to you, and Happy Hanukkah, and all the other holidays going on. We got New Year's, we got Thanksgiving. I mean, this is the time of the year where everything converges, and it's so much fun, and the best part about it is to have a good meal with your family and friends.
Absolutely.
We're going to start our holiday meal with what will be the star of the show, a perfectly cooked prime rib roast complete with an herb-crusted rub. While the roast is in the oven, we'll craft a blueberry lemonade mocktail, learning the tricks of 1010's masterful bartenders. From there, we'll move on to an easy-to-assemble appetizer, honey and goat cheese-filled strawberries. Next up, dessert. We'll teach you how to make a pear tart cheesecake that will satisfy the whole family's sweet tooth. And then we'll round out our meal with a deliciously delectable Yorkshire pudding.
Doing the rub.
What's in the rub?
What's in the rub? So we've got herbs. So first is fresh rosemary.
Oh, love it.
Wonderful. You want to do herbs that aren't going to get lost. Fresh thyme, again, super aromatic. We've got our chopped garlic. We've got salt, a lot of salt. You think about how big this piece of meat is. We got 14, 16 pounds right here. So you want to make sure it's a little bit more salty than you normally would. We're doing a little bit of cracked black pepper, horseradish.
Oh, my
So
favorite.
there you go. Don't get too close to that one. Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
And oil. So again,
Olive oil?
olive oil, canola oil, any oil really that you want. I wouldn't use your fancy Villa di Trapano olive oil because, you know, obviously it's going to go all over this. But so when you do this, you want to make sure you do the fat cap up. That way the fat renders down around everything. So we're just mixing this up here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pour this on, and if you want to rub it in generously with your hands, get all that nice goodness out of there.
So you don't have to be a licensed massage therapist to do this, right?
It helps.
Oh, I love doing this. This is one of my favorite things, is making either a dry rub for a roast or a rack of ribs or a wet rub.
That's great. And you can do this ahead of time.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do this the day before, you can do this. You could set it in your refrigerator if your refrigerator obviously has a little bit more room. This is something that you can prep. This is the great thing about this prime rib is you can get everything done ahead of time, throw it in when, you know, a couple of hours before your guests get here. This is probably going to take, I'd say 4 or 5 hours, depending on your convection or not in the oven.
But and the one thing I like about this is that the herbs melt with the fat and go down into the bottom of the pan. We're going to make Yorkshire pudding later, and that helps the flavor. This is just, I can't wait. And welcome back to In the Kitchen with Chef Paul, the holiday edition. The roast is in the oven, our prime rib roast, which is going to be fabulous. Time to do something festive. Holidays are festive. Why not some festive drinks? Yeah. Paul, you're going to make a mocktail for us.
I am. I'm going to make a mocktail for us. So we've got a lemon blueberry mocktail. So we're going to start out with fresh lemon juice. We'll go ahead and put those right in. We're going to do directly into our shaker here.
I don't think there's any better juice than fresh lemon juice.
So great. Really is.
Takes me back to the state fair and the homemade lemonade they make.
That's right. Along with those tornado fries.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Too bad this is not smell-o-vision. The lemon juice, the aroma from the lemons is just
so great.
Amazing.
Now, make sure you always add ice to the shaker. I've got a little bit more lemon juice here. Just fresh squeezed lemon juice. We do this probably 50 of them a day. And then, so what I'm gonna do now is add a little bit of our Stella's, this is a blueberry balsamic.
I never heard of that.
Isn't it great?
Oh my gosh.
So Derek, our bartender, and Josiah and Taylor, they use a lot of these. So it adds a little bit of that bite that you are missing when you don't add the alcohol to it. So it kind of mimics a little bit of that back of the palate mouthfeel. We're gonna put just a little bit in. There are all kinds of this. So Stella's is down on Hale Street. But I'd add that, do just a touch, and then I'm gonna shake this up. I'm not, do the crazy fancy bartender stuff, but
Yeah, don't
shake
turn it
over
into a
my hand
dance.
because I'll probably spill it everywhere. And then we're just gonna pour it. So we're gonna pour this into our Collins glass here. So we'll just try to pour that. See how it's got that little bit different color in there?
kinda
Now
golden.
that's a lot of, the balsamic adds a little bit of sweetness to it. The lemon obviously has a little bit of bite to it. I'm gonna go ahead and add one of our fancy ice cubes.
Frozen ice
This
cube,
is
yeah.
a simple syrup lemon ice cube. So again, a little bit more sweet, a little herb, and then I'm gonna top it off with a little Pellegrino, just for that effervescence.
And that's the mocktail?
That's the mocktail. You can drip a little bit of this right on the top. I like to kind of, so you get that cascading look. Now you could add a little, this is our Ritual Zero Proof Gin alternative.
So it's non-alcoholic gin.
Non-alcoholic. Obviously bitters, you could put a bitter in there. Now that does have a little bit of alcohol in it.
I'm going to mention we're going to put the recipe for the mocktail on the website for the television station. You mentioned all your bartenders at 1010 Bridge. We gave them a good
yeah,
shout out, but
definitely.
they make some
Yeah.
of the best cocktails and mocktails in Charleston. It's probably one of the reasons why it's a James
Absolutely.
Beard
Right,
Award
and
winner.
you just want to make sure that you're safe around the holidays.
Yeah.
I say social, not sloppy, right?
And drink in moderation if you're going to turn the mocktail into
Absolutely.
a cocktail. The thing that goes good with a mocktail, though, or a cocktail, appetizers.
Appetizers.
What are we doing here?
So we're gonna go ahead and take our goat cheese, throw it right in our KitchenAid mixer here. And then you need something else besides the goat cheese because it's a little bit chalky. So we're gonna do a little bit of cream cheese just to smooth it out a little bit. Always add a pinch of salt. I always add a pinch of salt to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, sweet, savory, whatever. We've got our lavender, so a little bit of dried lavender.
Yeah, a little bit of
Lavender
lavender.
goes a long way, right? Mm-hmm. Then we have our local honey from Patriot Gardens. I'm gonna add that right in there.
Did you just call me honey?
I did. We've got it engaged. We're gonna turn it on. So we're gonna run this. Just let it cream together. All right.
Oh, looks great.
So you could put a little bit of sugar if you want. I think with the honey and the sweetness of the strawberries, I think we're ready to go. So then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna clean off our paddle. Now, it's worth noticing that I'm using the paddle attachment and not the whisk or obviously the hook.
Okay.
So I'll throw that back there. We're gonna fill up our piping bag. You can get these at Michael's with a tip. You could really just fill them with a spoon if you wanted to. Put this in our piping bag here.
This takes me back to when I was a kid and Mom would make frosting for a cake or
Yeah.
cupcakes, and you got to lick the beater or the bowl.
Absolutely. So we'll get that ready. Set that aside. Now we're gonna prep our strawberries. So take the bottom off because you need a flat surface. Obviously, strawberries are round.
Okay.
Then you take the top off.
I'm brown too, by the way.
I need a flat surface. So if you want to go ahead and maybe hollow one of these bad boys out
Okay.
here, just with this little Parisian scoop. But
right.
just like that.
Let me do one.
Do a couple of those. I'll get our fun
Oops, I
little
went over to the
serving
side a little
tray.
bit, but
And that's fine.
oops.
So we've got a couple here.
When I broke the strawberry, but you know what? The
That's okay.
filling will be like a glue that holds it together.
That's absolutely right.
All right, I guess I'm not going to the Food Network anytime soon.
Perfect.
Right.
All right, so then we're gonna take these and we're gonna pipe a little rosette right in there. Fun little serving dish here. And then you could do a couple things. If you don't have your microgreens, you could maybe cock one of the strawberries to the side, the tops, so you have a little bit of green. It kind of adds a little bit of color. Or you can do your fancy little flowers from Oh My Greens.
Oh, this looks amazing.
That's the taster
We'll
for
fix
us
it
to
up.
eat.
All right, the stuffed strawberries, goat cheese, and cream cheese. Oh, they look delicious. We're going to have more of In the Kitchen with Chef Paul after this break. The holiday edition, don't go away. And welcome back to In the Kitchen with Chef Paul, the holiday edition. We're with Chef Paul Smith of 1010 Bridge. That's 1010bridge.com here in Charleston. James Beard award-winning chef. This is the most dangerous time of a holiday meal for me because we're going to make the dessert here. I can smell the roast in the oven, and oftentimes I'm tempted to go ahead and eat the dessert before I have my
Hey,
dinner.
there's no rules of the holidays.
We're doing a pear tart cheesecake here. Take us through it.
Well, if you want to go ahead and throw your cream cheese right in. So we'll start out with the cream cheese. We have a little bit of honey. Just toss it right in
There
there.
we go.
We've got a little bit of honey here from Patriot Gardens. So we're going to do about a tablespoon of honey. So it's not super sweet. Pears are in season right now, which is why we selected that. Do a little bit of sugar. I'm going to go ahead and throw this together. I always want to start it out a little lower. We're using the paddle attachment too, so this is what we call the creaming method. So we're creaming the sugar and the cream cheese together. I crank it up just a little bit. Get that chunk off of there. You're not doing it right unless you're getting a little bit on you.
Yeah.
So about this point here, we're going to slow her down. We're going to crack one egg. I always crack it into something else, just in case for some reason something happens to the egg. Add one egg in there. Get that rocking a little bit. Make sure everything's blended together. Obviously do a little pinch of salt. Slow it down a little bit again. Add our vanilla. You could do a little bit of lemon zest.
Sure.
Zest is where you would get a lot of that flavor, not the lemon juice you don't want. So we're gonna mix it up until we don't see any more of the little beads from the cream cheese, so it's nice and smooth. Go ahead and take this out. While we're doing this, if you want to, just let's pour this in here a little bit. Then we'll layer our pears in there, kind of in a shingle, and that way they're around. Now think about this when you're doing this, when you do apples or pears, when you bake them, that water's going to bake out of it. So it's not gonna look exactly like when you put it in. So go ahead, yeah. So you can bake this ahead of time. You can get this completely done, put it in the refrigerator. That way you're not sitting here doing this when your guests are hanging out having our mocktails, right? So this is it looks great. Local pears from Romney. We've got everything together. We're gonna go ahead, take this, put it in the oven. When it pops out, it's gonna look absolutely wonderful. Probably don't wanna put it in the same oven with the prime rib. They don't really go well together. So you would either do this ahead of time or your prime rib ahead of time.
Could you also sprinkle it with a little brown sugar and cinnamon and make it a little crunch?
We're going to put a little salted caramel on it when it comes out too. So that way, yeah, you could do a little cinnamon, you could do nutmeg, whatever it is that you want.
All right, this is, like I say, I'm tempted to have the dessert before the main course.
And when we return, we'll pull the prime rib out of the oven and show you how to make the perfect Yorkshire pudding. Stay with us here on In the Kitchen with Chef Paul, Holiday Edition.
All right, well, the moment has come. Let's take the roast out of the oven and get a look at it. Boy, it smells good in
It
here.
smells great. And how great is this kitchen?
Oh my Lord.
Wonderful.
Oh, look at the crust on that.
So we've got the herb crust. You can see that right there. You see the herbs. You know, it's okay if it's a little bit dark. You want that, a little bit of that Maillard browning on there. What we're gonna do now, we'll let it rest.
For 10 minutes.
At least 10 minutes.
Maybe 15.
Maybe
Sure.
15. Right, so you've got the crust. We're talking about, you know, you've got the end cuts.
That's for me.
That's for you. So we're gonna go ahead. So if you take the temperature on this, you wanna take it with the thermometer right in the middle.
Okay.
And about halfway down. That way you know right in the middle what that temp is. Maybe 130, 135, depending on what your desired temperature is. Remember, it's gonna be a little bit more done on the outsides.
Right.
A little less done on the inside. So I'm just gonna cut it right down the middle. What do you
Okay.
think about that?
Sure. Oh, that's perfect. Nice and pink.
Nice and pink. Now you could cut this, see how this fat cap is right here? You probably want to trim that off just a little bit right before you serve it.
Okay.
You could also render that down, use it for our Yorkshire puddings. That's probably what we'll do today.
Tell us about what we're going to see here, Paul.
So this is pretty easy. So what we've done is we've taken all of that beef fat that came off of the prime rib, the drippings, all that goodness, we've put them in muffin tins. So you can do it in a muffin tin, you could do it in a casserole dish. You need to get that fat super hot.
Yeah.
So we've put that fat in this wonderful KitchenAid oven here at Tim Hogan's. Some eggs right into the bowl. Recipe is going to be online.
Yeah, the website for this TV station will have the recipes, and it'll help you along. This is relatively easy.
Yep. So you want to always put your eggs in first. That way you make sure you get them completely mixed up. Because if you put your milk and your eggs together, it takes about twice as long. We're going to do a little bit of salt. We're going to add our milk, about a pint
Okay.
of milk there. Get that completely mixed up. We're gonna add our flour.
How much flour
easy.
is it?
Go ahead. Go ahead with it. I'll
Slowly pull it in. You
keep-
just don't dump it in, right?
Yep. Slowly pour it in. Just kind of mix it up. Move the bowl with your other hand. You could do this in a KitchenAid mixer as well.
Sure.
With the paddle attachment. Go ahead and keep going. Now you want this, now you gotta be really careful with this part,
Yeah.
right? This
Yes.
is the dangerous part. This is really hot. I will probably leave the oven open.
Okay.
Just because, you know, for safety reasons. Then we're gonna go ahead and pour just a little bit in.
And it has so much flavor in it because the drippings from the roast are in there.
All
and
the
that just-
flavor. It's okay if you spill just a little bit. That's why we have this underpan on there. That's a big thing too. Make sure that you have a cookie sheet underneath the muffin tin. Otherwise, it's just going to be a mess. And it's a hot mess. No pun intended.
Kind of like me. All right.
Then we'll go right back in the oven.
For what temperature and how long?
I like to do this one a little hotter, about 375, 400 degrees. And then you'll look at it and they'll pop up and then kind of fall in the middle, and that's where all the goodness is. So I'd say 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. It's called Yorkshire pudding, but many people refer to them as popovers
Absolutely.
because that's exactly
Yeah,
what
good
they
call.
do.
Right. This is, it's a holiday meal that you can do at your house. It seems daunting, but you know, it wasn't too bad, I don't think.
No, a lot of it you could prep in advance too. The one thing I want to mention is all of these recipes will be on our TV station website and also on Paul's website at 1010bridge.com. So this has been a wonderful thing. We want to thank you for joining us. We want to wish you the happiest and safest of holidays. Enjoy your family and friends. This has been In the Kitchen with Chef Paul, the holiday edition. We thank you and we thank Chef Paul.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank you so much
Happy
for having me.
holidays, my friend.